Now, let's come back home for our regular conversation about food. Dining alone is the topic today. It can be a very awkward affair, as you know, and as Steve Martin illustrated in The Lonely Guy.
Yes.
Hi, do you have a table for dinner?
Certainly, sir. How many in your party?
I'm alone.
Alone? Follow me, sir.
Oh, I love him so much. Does the very thought of eating alone strike fear into your heart, or can you cut it? Can you actually carry it off on your own? Our resident foodie, Danny Valent, is with us now. Danny, good morning.
Good morning.
Do you like dining solo?
I don't mind it. I have felt a little bit like Steve Martin. I was doing a job travel writing in the Caribbean. I think I was the only non-honeymooner on the whole island. Everyone was sharing a lobster and it was just me and my prawn. So I did feel the spotlight was on me then. But I think we are a little bit more used to it these days, especially for breakfast and lunch in a cafe setting. I think a lot of people are very comfortable, especially with their laptop or their phone.
I think technology has made the difference, Greg.
Absolutely.
Don't you reckon?
This will get you out of many an embarrassing
Absolutely.
situation as
Yeah.
you look very busy or engaged on important
But you
matters.
know why? Because not only are you doing that as the solo diner, we're doing that as the couple. We're on our
Yeah,
phones
that's
too,
it.
so what's the difference?
Yeah, I guess so. And probably if you're sitting there in a cafe on your own, on your phone, you're probably chatting to someone else who's in another cafe down the road on their phone. So, yeah, I think there's this pop-up restaurant, Eenmaal. So it's a Dutch pop-up restaurant solely for solo diners.
This is in Holland, is it?
Yeah, so it's popped up in Holland, in Antwerp and in London, and you have to be alone to eat there, and you are definitely encouraged not to be on any sort of technology. In fact, you're given a book at the door.
And how does that go?
Well, look, it's been incredibly popular. I think you're encouraged there to really take the time to be alone, to not just scroll through the apps on your phone and just to take a moment to actually have recess.
One thing that I've always really loved about American dining is that they've really always understood right from the beginning of time the importance of catering to the solo diner. And so virtually every American restaurant has a bar. And the bar, of course, is mixing drinks, but it's a bar at which you can eat. Now, Australian restaurants more and more are doing that, but they've always had it. And if you're a solo diner, it's fantastic. I mean, you'd know from, being a correspondent, you go over there, you sit at the bar, the barkeeper will always keep you company and chat with you. You'll never be made to feel like a weirdo, and you can order from the entire menu.
Yeah.
It took a long time coming, that, to Australia.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if a restaurant doesn't have a bar, you can be left a little bit hanging, especially as a solo diner. The worst thing is to be sat in the centre of the restaurant. You just feel like you're floating in space. You're nowhere. So
you need your back to the wall.
If there's no bar, back to the wall, or at least face out to the window. So there's a bit of theatre, which is what you get when you're sitting at a bar. If you've got a great bartender, someone looking after you, they'll certainly engage you. And
yeah, that sense of isolation, being out there on the floor versus being on a strip of 4 or 5 individuals. At least you're tied together, I suppose, by the waiting staff and the bartender. So you've got something in common.
And you might start talking. Actually, one person who told me that she loves eating alone, a Melbourne foodie, said that she loves it so much, but she often finds if she's alone, other people will engage her in conversation, reel her into their tables, and she actually doesn't have this experience of solo dining that she enjoys. So perhaps other people are trying to save us from ourselves unnecessarily.
Oh, no, I think sometimes there's a great pleasure in just taking time alone, either with your book or without, with your mobile device or not.
Yeah.
And just being looked after by waiting staff. I think it's fantastic. But it is interesting how different cultures manage this, and you've uncovered somewhere that there are some restaurants where they provide you with stuffed animals to keep you company.
Yeah, well, only in Japan, but surely
I love the only in Japan stories.
Yeah, so in Japan, in Tokyo, there's a cafe, Moomin Cafe. Moomin's a type of stuffed toy.
No, Moomin, the Moomin Trolls are actually a book. They're a children's book.
Thank you.
And there's the Moomin Troll.
Yeah.
And there are a number of characters from Moomin Troll. They're very, very sweet.
So you don't bring your own? It's
No, they're
provided
waiting
for
there
you.
for you. In fact, they'll be sad if you don't turn up to dine with them. So it's optional, but you are encouraged to, if you want to have some company at the cafe, then please do. And I'm actually off to breakfast later on with Ducky.
We'll send our
I think
cameras along.
this is a fantastic idea.
We do vaudeville now on News Breakfast.
No, I think it'll be lovely. Just I'll leave the phone in the bag, and Ducky and I will have a nice chat
Poached eggs for
our
your
eggs.
offsider?
I'm not sure if Ducky eats chicken eggs, but perhaps we'll find out.
Terry Lancashire has just tweeted us, when I dine alone at a table, the only time I feel lonely is when they take the second chair away. No, don't ever take the second chair away, waiters. Don't do that. That's the thing that kind of holds you and anchors you into your
definitely.
space.
It's a
is
bit
the
of
other
an
chair.
anchor.
Put your bag or something on that chair. Claim the space for yourself. I think it makes it a lot easier.
There are a few strategies for solo dining, so I think choosing the cuisine is definitely part of it.
Crucial.
So I'd say not paella. Okay, because that's just going to feel silly.
Communal.
But yeah, Japanese bento box, fantastic. And you know those cafes where you have, or restaurants where you have to queue up? Oh, so painful. But if you're by yourself, you can often sneak in as a solo diner, just a little spot at the bar that just might have a seat just waiting for you, and you can try out those restaurants that otherwise.
That's what I mean
hassle.
about the bar, and the fact that it's actually it's dictated terms in terms of restaurant design now, because you'll find all those smaller spots now down the sides of restaurants. And
Absolutely.
yes, it's easier for you to get to the head of the queue. You can be seated straight away.
It's actually better. So just shrug off your friends and
That's
just
right.
head down. Definitely.
Danny, always good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.